I said, welcome to SoundPlay. My name is Clay, and I'm your moderator for today. I just want to give a big shout out before we start to co-curers of this event, Jocelyn of Press Play Agency, Tans, I don't know where Tans is. Tans right there. Little Miss Chit Chat, 2B, Ivy, Raquel, Reality, Tyler, all these beautiful women came together and have this is the first of many. Here with me today are three amazing industry professionals. This panel is going to basically talk about navigating New York City, in particular, that's where we're at right now, as talent. Because we have producers, we have artists, we have songwriters, we have other individuals who are professionals within, the music industry and entertainment industry. Like myself, I'm a manager as well. So I'm sure I have people like that out there. So we're going to, dissect what these individuals do. They're within branding and legal aid and A&R promotion. We're just going to dissect that a little bit. Is that all right, everyone? Yeah. I'm going to let each person introduce themselves and we're going to get started. Okay?
Hi, everybody. My name is Tab. I'm an A&R over at Def Jam. Work directly with Stephen Victor. I work with a lot of artists.
Hi, my name is Chanel. I'm at Sony TV. I'm like a legal assistant, sort of all sorts of hats. I just like music publishing. From the Bronx, we work with an array of artists. So normally when artists do come and sign their publishing deals, I'm normally working with like the deal memos or review agreements and making sure everything is in place so that you can kind of get paid and set up your own system. Hi everyone, my name is Tiana. I work for SoundPlay, which is an independent label underneath Warner. So some of our acts include what's up? Okay. Sada Baby, Ugly God, and we also deal with a lot of other authentic artists that come and deal with their projects. So I do digital marketing, so that pretty much just includes anything dealing with digital on your screen promotion. That's the most simplest way to
Amazing. So we're just going to jump right into it. I want to ask each of you, just share your perspective of the entertainment industry right now today. How do you feel about it? What are the pros to it? And maybe something that's controversial, because controversy is always the conversation starts. So just share those two different sides. And you may only have one or the other, but let's start with that icebreaker.
Yeah, the business right now is in a great place right now. Streaming has changed the game to where this year music is going to be a $40 billion industry. And even in its heyday in the 90s, when the golden era, as everybody calls it, didn't generate that kind of revenue. What that means with the streaming, the internet, everybody's a rapper now. So, the lane is a little bit more crowded. And what was the second question? Oh, yeah. Instagram, social media. Great tool for certain things as far as marketing yourself, marketing your music, getting yourself out there, but it can be detrimental, as you can see with certain artists in the city, you do too much.
For my take, the industry is definitely booming. There's a lot of opportunities, a lot of ways to get in, a lot of ways to get on. Connecting with people has been probably the easiest thing ever. There's producers popping up from Russia, collaborating with people from Bushwick. Like years ago, that may have not been able to happen unless we're snail mailing, options or whatever, but it's instantaneously happened. Cons, things are sounding the same. Everyone's sharing the same drum kits. It's like, boom, okay, hold on, I can dance to it. This works. Like, let's put it out there. And then also just not enough sharing information. Like when it comes to you learn something, you get through the door, you're on. Not necessarily you have to just pass the baton and let somebody else walk through, but you share that information. Don't feel like, it took a while for me to get in the room. I'm not gonna just let you in. Like, no, sharing the information is going to give you some, put you in rooms that you may not physically be able to get into because you don't have the time or X, Y, and Z, but like someone you put into that building might be in a room that can bring you in the next time. So it's just like, share that, share what you learned because it might, impact someone else. And that's just my take. It's like people are afraid to put other people on and, it doesn't hurt anyone but yourself in the end.
Just to piggyback off of what they said, obviously, in the digital age, things are easily shared, and you're able to share your music, and people are able to get on, and people from labels are able to, artists are more visible to labels. I would say a major con for me is that everything is so numbers driven, like in particular to like what I do. So I'm not an A&R, but my team is so small. We always discuss artists and things of that sort. And something you always hear is, well, what are they streaming? What are their numbers? And it's just like, bro, what about the talent? I think talent is something that's not taking that's taking a back seat on the social age. And it's unfortunate because there's a lot of great artists out there that are doing great shit. But unfortunately, they're on streaming, they don't have the numbers, so they go overlooked. So that's my major thing.
I agree with that, and I'm going to come back to you, and we're going to dissect that a little bit. But I'm going to start with Tad. A&R, what A&R was once considered has changed now in 2019. Can you please give us a inside look on your role and how your process of like selecting artists and such at Def Jam? Because like I said, we have producers and artists and songwriters here. And how can we be heard? How can we get them in?
Yeah, so as far as scouting artists, like you said, it's changed a lot over the years with the internet, like we've been speaking about. But social media is a monster, man. That's like, it tell you so many kids who went viral off of social media, like the baby, for example. The baby is one of the highest artists in the game right now. But the baby has been trying to do this for probably almost 10 years now. Like 3-4 years ago, he tried some stuff at Southwest at Austin. He walked around with a diaper on, the baby, right? So, thought that was gonna work, didn't work. Had to come back to the table, reinvent himself. And then it's just all about staying and then being I always say be the hottest person on your block and be the hottest person in your town and be the hottest person in your state. And that goes for producers as well, because I tell producers too, the easiest way, in my opinion, to get on as a producer, everybody wants to, I want to produce for Jay-Z, I want to produce for Eminem. Find the next guy where you're at and work with him. Because if that kid blows up, you're gonna blow up as well. Like every year. I remember when Metro Boomin, nobody knew him. I remember when nobody knew Murder Beats, and then there's a work kid from Canada. It's just all about finding a sound and cultivating that sound. And using your social media strategy, however you want to do that. But yeah, I think it's kind of what I look for.
So we're I'm gonna stay with you for a second. So we're in New York City, and we come across so many people with sets, whether it's at an event or anywhere. And some people are afraid to approach people because, that's the person's private time, he's not partying, but sometimes you can never get that moment. So as someone who may be like, people are trying to approach you and like strategize on like how, what is sort of your advice? Your own
I mean, everybody wants to get A&R's attention, but I feel like, yeah, I mean, if you see somebody out, like things like this, networking events, SOPs is always a great breeding ground. There's always shows there, there's always A&Rs, there's always music people there. And I keep going back to social media. Study the game, man. Study who the people are, who their assistants are. When I wanted to be an executive in the game, I came up, I said, okay, there's Leo Cohen, Kevin Love, okay, so who works under them? And study the game, man. Find out who the people are, and then tap, find out where, and, you know.
So it's okay to tap, like, yo, tap. What's the line? Where is the line?
There is no line. If it's a hit record, or you're a hot artist, and you believe it, you gotta get noticed. I don't believe there's a line with me, you see me in the street, run up home. You know, like, cause I need to know. If something is happening in New York and something is happening somewhere and I don't know about it, I'm fucking up. So please let me know. Any other A&R, you know, I know some people who are doing, you know, I'm easy, man.
So, before, you know, I don't know, it depends on, you know, where you are, with your career and stuff. But, you know, before you approach that career, you need to have your stuff together as, you know, an individual, you know, trying to get put on. So, you know, not everyone has, like, they end up having a manager or a team around, so a lot of people are truly independent. Yeah. Can you share some pointers on how an artist can turn digital marketing branding as a side how can someone independent kind of start to brand themselves and market themselves in a way where, you know, they're doing it on their own and, you know, with chances of, you know, getting seen or, you know, gaining more exposure? What are some things these individuals can do today, starting now to like put their brand?
I say definitely having like, if you don't have a manager or whatever, you have friends, you have creatives around you, use the people around you to, whether it's brainstorm, get creative, you know, find your niche market, people who fuck with you and work with that. And I feel like a lot of people focus on like how I can like get group seeds across my group, like group right here that rocks with you. So, yeah, sorry, I put more time to the question, but definitely I would say just work with people around you and stay creative and focus on what you got going on and definitely build like what you said, get your package together and definitely just work on what you have and try not to focus on other alleys and just, yeah, push your brand and stay true to your identity, for sure.
Everybody can kind of scoot on over this way.
Or you can sit, you guys can sit inside, if you want to sit. Yeah, you can sit there. Make you know me that
Figure it out. Let's come together. This is an area here. There's like about 6 seats here.
You gotta keep clear of this camera right here. You can't sit right here.
I gotta move down that way.
Don't sit down there. Can't see it. Also, live on Arts Grind.
I can't have you on front of this camera.
Stand up.
No, I can't have y'all like.
I just need this one area clear, that's all.
It's fine.
Yeah, the bar, the go that way. Just one area needs to be clear.
Keep letting know.
As much as possible, please. If you like, there's a little bit more room on the rug area. You can sit down on the rug if you want to. We're gonna figure it out.
And I also just want to add on to what I said, like, there's nothing that I do at work, but in terms of like the marketing that like the average person can do, it's literally, all right, you have a project, all right, what do you want this message to convey, like which platforms do you want to hit, like, it's pretty simple, there's nothing that you guys can't do for yourself. You know, we come up with like, if you have like a project coming out and you want just, you know, put together, call them assets, you know, come up with content and just be creative and put these things out on your platforms and people will fuck with you, they'll see it. And that's pretty much what digital marketing is. Getting that audience is something that you can work on and essentially will come to you, but that's essentially things that you can do for yourself, you know? So, yeah.
So, Chanel. So when some artists are kind of confused, and just talent, they're confused, like, when do I seek out legal aid or, what's published and mastered, like all that stuff that's in black and white, that most people aren't familiar with, because, you know, they want to be creative. How, can you give us publishing 101, what is publishing, talk about masters a little bit, and then, touch on when is the right time to seek legal aid and how to go about that?
I really want to be here for about 5 hours, so, you know, it's fine. So one, to start off with, when to seek like a legal counsel or representation, I would say as soon as you can afford to. Being that as soon as you're putting out any content that if somebody duplicates it or reproduces it and you're like, oh no, that's my work, you need to have a legal counsel on your end. I'm on your side, someone that you've seeked out, that you can hire, that can represent you when you're putting out creative content into the universe. Whether that's coming to like starting your LLC and like you've all started up putting, you know, sign up for PROs like ASCAP and BMI, you know, there's that, okay, so I have a publisher yet? No, but I can register as a publisher. Okay, sometimes to do that, you have to have an LLC in order to do that. Now, in order to get your LLC drafted, you would have needed a legal, you know, you can do legal Zoom, but you hire counsel when they're asked, you know, that in that situation, you might not have physically went to their office and, you know, signed a retainer and everything, but there was a component of doing that. When it's easier for when you seek out a legal counsel, when you do that, you have the choice of understanding if this person's gonna be in my favor. They have a, you know, civic duty to do so, but it's just like, you want someone that's gonna break it down to you and not just say, okay, fine, here, this is what it is, it makes sense, you know, no one's trying to get over on you. You wanna find someone essentially that's going to be for you, help you understand the black and white of it and have it make sense. Diving into publishing. So let's say, I'll give 2 scenarios. Let's say you're an independent artist, which a lot of people are, they're not signed to a label, but they're publishing, their music is getting some streams and stuff like that. And they're like, okay, I want to see if I can get a publishing deal. Not that it's off the table, there's small publishers and stuff that kind of seek, you know, those that are upcoming that either are artists or songwriters themselves and they sign them to a publishing deal. But then when it comes down to understanding what is publishing and what am I giving away in this contract. So when you have a song and you hear the song on the radio, let's say, what was just playing, I don't even know, but like, you said Drake. All right, so Drake's, Thanks for What comes on. You hear that song. You hear it as it plays, and that's on the recording deck. Now, if you were to subtract the sound from that, and you're looking at the lyrics of, let's say, Rap Genius or something, then that's when you're moving into the publishing territory because it can exist outside of the two. And when you have a publisher, they're there to make sure that they're going out to collect anything that is exploiting your lyrics or written, you know, music and collecting that money for you. And also finding ways to exploit that part of the composition in a sense where your songs are now going into commercials or into movies, into like video games, like you're playing 2K, I do not play, but I know that they have a hot soundtrack. So it's like stuff like that. Your publishing is also in place of that, and you are entitled to money for someone to utilize your copyright in your actual work. So that's, I mean, sorry, it's not like super clear, but I'd like to kind of mix it all together. That will keep it separate from the recording side, which in fact, if somebody wants to use your song, they have to clear both the master side of it and the publishing. Now, if you own your masters because you're an upcoming artist or so, and someone wants to use your song, you negotiate everything on your own. Because you own both your publishing and your masters. And it's like, hey, I want to use your song in like this new video that I'm, you know, producing. And it's gonna, you know, go online, it might go on their website, but Nike wants to put it up and they like it. Okay. You can negotiate half and half my recording, this is what I want 2,000 or so, publishing saying 2,000. The numbers change depending on what the reach is and what you think you're worth. But there is the two-part component when you're looking at one composition. We're not full. But if there's any question, I'll literally take that. But master size. So master size is not like that's more of a A&R type of thing. However, but for my personal opinion, and anything that I'm saying is a reflection of what I understand from the music industry, and it's not anything that Sony's this is how it goes. I would say is a lot of people are getting caught up on I am independent, I own my masters, I do this. Look at this. Record labels kind of serve as a bank. They're there because they know hey, I can give you an advance to make all of your not dreams or your artistic values or anything that you feel you want to put out into the world as super creative as it could be. You just don't have the bandwidth or the financial backing to do that. I'm here to help you do that. But in exchange, we got to recoup that back. It's a 0% AP. I don't have credit cards a 0% loan. If you don't make that back, you're gonna keep producing until you do, and then after a while, it's gonna be do you want to give me money? You're not paying me back. So it's when people are oh my God, I'm shallow, or I hate my label, they don't look out for me. No, are you coming across you're super artistically out there, but you're not bringing anything in? Are you looking too ahead of yourself? What's your digital marketing campaign looking like? What are the ROIs associated? Are you actually looking back and saying, hey, this campaign didn't work, but this one did pretty good. Maybe I should do more things like that to bring that money in so I can pay that loan back. And then the same thing with publishing. It's you usually get publishing when you either have something that's bubbling or they'll take the chance you're a talented songwriter. But in a sense, it's the same thing. But when it comes to your advance, it's a little bit more we can project what you'll bring back in because we already kind of see it coming in and we kind of see what those numbers look like. And there's a lot of valuations and things that take place. But with the recording side, when your masters are in play, there's a lot of risk that they're taking on you. So it's I can live up to that, expectation that you guys have on me. So that's kind of just where it was I own my masters. Yeah, that's great. If you're able to be creative, have your own, backing, your songs are getting 1 million streams, or don't even look at the numbers, but you can pack out this room, you can pack out SOBs, you can make money with your touring, people know who you are. If you could do that, then why do you need the loan? Because you're already doing it from the people in the group that support you and you have a solid foundation. So it's you can own your masters essentially because you know how to brand yourself and you don't need someone to come in, or you have a team that's really good at that. Or you can help somebody, you can ask for help from a label to do that for you. So it's a two-way street. You make it back, then it's there's a part of the contract you can get out, which boils down into making sure you read the black and white and you have a representation, someone at the table to negotiate this with you. So you know how you can back out as soon as you, group and vice versa, and how to make things negotiated in your favor, or it's just equal, mutually beneficial to both parties. I think that's when it's the best for everyone involved. There's no bad harm. You'll see people sign to labels that are this is great. And you got some labels that are yeah, we like what you're doing, no bad mouth. Some people on the streets, you're connecting with people, we'll do a JV with you. And when it comes to JV, it's a joint venture. So it's you look at Dreamville. J. Cole has a lot of, new talent under his, entity Rossi and Ari Lennox. So there's things like that where I think Drake has his OVO camp and you see ASAP Worldwide, there's ASAP Berg and all of that. So there's a lot of potential that can happen, and sometimes it's just super beneficial because now you have a lot of support financially. Also, there's people at the labels that are hired to do marketing campaigns, and you're not having to worry about that. You're just so in the creative space, but I need this to happen. Now you have people that are actually being paid to make it happen. That was super helpful, right?
Yes. Coach Tab, I want you to kind of talk about, your journey to kind of become an A&R and share one of the.
Yeah, the journey was a real journey. Always loved music, like, everybody in this room. Then I was like, wow, I would really love to work for a record label. Most of us say, okay, what's in a record label? A&R, right? They sign artists over there. Okay. The hardest arm of a record label to get into. I have worked for free for years. Years. And I'm an artist too. Still work for free. And it's just gotta be resilient, man. Like, one thing that I always kind of preach is network out, not up. Everybody wants to run up to the CEO and say, hey, like, how many people do that? The people that are sitting, if you're interning at a label, you're a consultant at a label, or they just let you in for a meeting. Find out the people that are there that, are hungry. Connect with them, start getting a friendship. Because networking out, you never know where that person will be in 6 months, a year, 3 years. And that's why even, like I said earlier, study the game. Because you'll notice a lot of these executives have the same core group around them, So, and I always just that's my big thing, man. Just network out, man. Find like-minded people and chase your dream, Because I feel like, if you work hard enough and you're, you craft your skill, anybody can do it, man, for sure.
So I went up to school at State and I went to school for communications. While in school, I was very on the scene. I thought I was gonna do like production. I was like at the radio station trying to put my people music on. I'm gonna do this. And when I came out, graduation was a wake up call. Like, oh snap, I need a job. Cause you think about all these things, you partying and you all do this. And I was a good student. I was almost really involved. And I'm like, I went to school upstate in Utica. I don't know if everyone knows where upstate is, but everyone knows where upstate is, but Utica itself, it's far, it's cold. There's not many places, when it comes to industry, the opportunities are not there. So when I came out, I didn't have that privilege of, okay, I intern here and I can try to walk into something like this. So I did not have a job when I came out of school. And you know what, I'm gonna share something with you that I kind of did for a while. I was senior class president, and when I got off the stage the next day, had no job. I came back to the city and I'm like, I applied for summer youth, I think in January for the fun and giggle. I did summer youth with a bachelor's degree, my first summer, so that I can have money to take the MetroCard so I can apply to different jobs. That was definitely humble pie. And from there, my friend was in DC and he says to network out. She's like, hey, the office that I'm working at in DC has an opening in New York. I'm like, all right, I got no clue, let me do it. So I ended up getting hired there, and I was like, this is not what I went to school for. Let's do it. Long story short, I ended up working with the Stop and Frisk Monitor, and I was his go-to assistant for preparing his reports. From there, every partner wanted to work with me, and then I started to work with trademark and copyright, which was for a lot of the liquor companies, Star Industry, Tom's, Louis Vuitton, Gucci. So when it came down to copyright and trademark, that translates to the music business when it's owning your copyright, owning your intellectual property. So from there, outside, I don't know if you guys know, Kid the Wiz and the Waffle Crew, I managed them while I was in college and also while I was in that law firm. So when I went to Sony, I'm like, I think I can combine all of these things at the interview, and that was the last question they asked me, and it kind of all came together. So when I sum that all up, it's just that don't take any opportunity ooh, I'm too big for this, or I shouldn't be doing this. This is below me. Your friends might be like, I don't know why you're doing that. That's crazy. However, you have to own what your path will be. And it might not just go up. There's gonna be some, U-turns. There's gonna be, you gotta go left in order to get right, and you passed that building already. You gotta do it again, and then do it. So it's just don't get discouraged. If you know that something's for you, you keep going. And time will tell when it's it'll come to you, but you have to meet it halfway. So that was kind of how I got into the industry, and I just never stopped, that worked out, and a lot of opportunities come from that. So, yeah. Never told you that thing when I did something.
Ooh, my journey to how I got here. Similar to these folk here, I've interned, how I got my position at Asylum was a networking or a college, or actually it was my uncle's like college friend or something, like hit me at random. It was like, hey, there's a job at dinner. Do you wanna like interview? I was like, yeah, sure. Interviewed for the spot, speaking with my current boss about like pretty much all the low-level jobs I took prior to coming there. I guess my story resonated with her, like my resilience and how many other things I did prior to getting there. And I think it was maybe even my hunger. And I've always loved the music industry. One of my first internships was at like some really small like management firm for RPM. And yeah, I did a lot of bitch work there, and I was telling her about all my experiences, and I guess it resonated, and that's how I got my position now. But to piggyback what you're saying, sometimes you have to just do the grunt work and just chase your dream and really just bite the bullet and just, if you know where you want to be, if you see it, you just keep following that and just, wait with all the other side things. But yeah, I definitely appreciate the connections and relationships along the way, because I wouldn't be here if it weren't for, the people I've met along the way, whether it's like other small jobs or other internships. It's always through relationships. And it's very, very, very important to just always just like your contact list. Actually, my mentor, my current boss right now, he told me your contact list is like everything. Without your contacts, you are essentially obsolete. Like there's nothing really going on. Everyone can do, what we do, but I think it's like who you know and who can help you along the way, and that's really sets you apart. And of course, your own skills. But I definitely think that knowing like-minded people and working with people that have similar goals can definitely help in the end. So yeah.
And it's not even that, it's just that, just know the difference between free and people freeloading off of you. Like, there's a difference, like, you wanna get in, don't try to have someone exploit you in order, oh, you're good at digital marketing campaigns, I'm gonna use it, there's no pay coming in, there's nothing, but you see them reaping the benefits. Don't let people freeload off of you. There's a difference, when it's time to walk away, because you know what? I learned what I needed to learn, I applied it, I can now work with someone else that's gonna appreciate, my talent and vice versa, and keep spreading that love on that kind of stuff. Don't get exploited, don't ever do that. Especially if you see that there's a ceiling. Move on, go ahead.
Well, thank you guys for sharing. I'm gonna open the floor. I'm sure if you all have questions.
How y'all doing? My name is Mike. From Long Island. I just want to know how do you get noticed when you from somewhere that's in the outskirts? Like, I got a one-of-a-kind artist with a great sound, and you've been working strip clubs everywhere, but you're not from Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens. You're not from the center. So I just want to know, how can we get heard?
I mean, nowadays, I feel like, going back to the internet, with the internet, music has become less geographical and has become more demographical. So with that being said, shoot visuals, and then, you always get your analytics back from your visuals, Try to try to focus in on that crowd that can relate to your artist, whether it's in Boston, whether it's in Florida, whether it's in Cali, you know what I'm saying?
Everywhere, be real, that's why we don't have a lot of internet numbers.
Yeah. There's video, you got videos out? I mean, have you, sometimes,
We just started working on a marketing campaign.
okay,
That's another thing, find out who would pay to do what.
yeah.
And a lot of people that send you stuff like, yo.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of bullshit.
You don't know where they're from, what they're doing,
Yeah.
I gave you this, I showed up to this, but it was from a good friend that put me
That's
on.
what
So I,
she said.
you know,
I mean, my only advice, man, and there's, every artist has their own way, but like I said, I feel like music is demographical now. It's just, you gotta be a visual artist. So just the videos, if go on YouTube, man, and look at those kids, those videographers who have 10,000, 20,000, 50, who have that built-in audience to try to cross-promote the brands, to get that, to get that, just do anything to try to cross-promote shit, to be able to get those eyes on your artists. You know you have something special.
and I got the one that you ain't seen. You say you like to see us in the streets, I got the artist who right here.
Fire.
Thank you for your question. Anyone else?
At SEO. I learned that with this training, and it's like that's search engine optimization, and it's like they're like, know your SEO. Like, it's like know what it is that sets you apart from anything else that you're trying to, and then market to that. And that's when you're in touch with the demographic, and you'll know who to pay because they represent what you represent. And essentially, you can also, go out of that, but don't neglect that goal, because that's what brings you to those other.
How you guys doing? My name is Gilo. I'm a hip hop artist. I also run a media production company. I just wanted to get you guys to elaborate on the importance of community, not just in like building a fan base, but also like the importance of building within a team, like in order to like grab people next to you who can actually like continue to help you along the way, but like in the sense of how do you build that community so that people want to help you and people also want to be fans of whatever it is.
It's four topics.
Wait, I'm sorry. So what was your question? I just think that engagement is just so important. A lot of people focus on just like numbers, like following and things of that sort, but like engagement is so important. People like to see that you are accepting of people, like you're grateful, that people are listening to your music. You definitely want to engage with your fan base and your community as much as you can, whether it's doing what you have to do to do events or community building activities, whatever it may be, but just engage with your core. And there's so many ways, as he said, music is demographic, to figure out where your markets are and who really bangs with you, and just really working that market. And whether it's what I do at work, we find markets and we work the hell out of that market, whether it's radio, whether it's whatever, but you find out where your core is and you work with that and engage and just always stay in constant communication.
I want to touch on if you were also talking about your talent manager or PR team and stuff like that type of community, who's on the front line with you when something flops, you all flop, but we got to get back and go stronger. So I would take it as in it's okay not to work with your friends. The person that comes over and tells you everything that you spit is hot, the way that beat is fire. Let's put it out. I'm gonna repost it because I rock with you. You want to get around people that are not just like-minded, but also critical in the sense where they can tell you when you might be overstepping over the boundaries, or hey, I would look at it this way, or rearrange this line, or PR-wise, you know what, that picture you posted on Scarlett's, take that down because it only go with what you're kind of trying to portray yourself. You see it all the time, but it's when you look at people that are really amazing with, let's say for example, Lizzo. She's been on for a minute. She had her Lizzo bangers, even tried to remaster that. And then what I've seen is that she came into her own when it came to branding. Live outside not just what your music's saying, but this is me, and taking that to the stage the same way you take the music or whatever you produce. And it's like, don't lose that. And you keep with that same, like, be loyal to your people. Don't just say, hey, we got on, I went to this room, I went to this networking event, I found somebody that, managed this artist, and I want to work with you now. When you neglect the people that rose up with you, it's like, because you don't know where they're going to lead you to. It might have worked for X, Y, and Z, that artist that they had, but you might not be that same formula that they could just plug in and it's going to compete the same success that someone else had. And it's like, there's a point where it's like loyalty, and then it's like, you're keeping stagnant because you don't know how to let go. So you have to draw that line for yourself. And I say, like, when it comes to A&R and when it comes to just like you growing as a person, like, know your gut, know your, bottom line. And if it doesn't sit well with that, you have to grow, move on. And what I'm learning now, especially like just what things that happened over the past year with me, is that like being uncomfortable, that means growth is about to happen. Like, you probably are the most uncomfortable when you're like, oh my God, I don't know what's next. And it's like, this is what's happening. You feel like I was talking somewhere earlier, it's like a cocoon, like, but you don't know that you're about to be the most beautiful bomb butterflies, about to start flapping wings. And be butterflies too, right? But like, it's something's about to shake in your world, and you have to like sit with that uncomfortability and be okay with that, and just let it rip.
Yeah, like, as far as like your team or management team, or even like, the whole team. So basically, what I would say is, as you grow as an artist, sometimes you outgrow your team. And that's one thing about the music industry, is that you might have a great manager, from day one to 5-6 years, you guys can make millions of dollars together, but you might not be the guy anymore. So you can't be afraid to outgrow your management team or the people that are around you. And, a lot of artists make that mistake sometimes, man. And I always tell artists this, man. You're the CEO of you. You're a person, yes, but who you are as an artist is a business. And you have to pick the right CEO, CFO, whether that be your manager or your lawyer, they all work for you. And you have to pick the right ones. And it might take, you might have to go to 3, 4, 5. You'll know. You'll know.
Can you guys project your voice?
You guys mentioned social media. My name is Cash, and I'm from Queens. You guys mentioned social media for example, but like going as an independent artist, there's also like sweet spots and algorithms if you don't have money or emotional money. So I wanted to know if you guys had any tips to like work with or around algorithms.
This is question. I know you know, bro.
I like that name.
You said getting around the algorithms with minus the budget, correct? That's a difficult one, because it's difficult, because even with the money, people will struggle to figure out. So I don't even know if I have a direct or exact answer, but I would definitely say, I think creativity, I know that's such a cliche, corny answer, but like creativity and like really, branding yourself and really finding like what works for you. Like, I know I've said that a lot, but like, I don't think people really, I'm sorry, I'm like all over the place in my head right now.
So good in a sense where like you can go out and So like I would say like, if you're trying to do it without like, funding, I've seen it because I worked with a lot of influencers throughout the past 6 years and seeing how they operate. Some of them, you can go into that troll effect. I know there's someone that's on the Shade Room all the day. I don't follow the Shade Room, but that's another story. But I don't know if you didn't hear, so I'm sorry, but I was gonna give you a compliment after that. Y-A-L-E-E, Dale or Dali, no?
Yes.
He's a troll, they're like every picture that's popping online, like, but he's an artist, like, and honestly, it's like, you just have, you can't, You can't not just go ahead and say it. So I was just like, wait, did you just say that? And it's like, hold on. And you just don't know what you stumble onto. I wouldn't say put yourself out on that because that can backfire. It might not be a great thing at all. And honestly, I really wouldn't like respect that. But it's like, there's ways of doing it like that are kind of, okay, you're respectful and you're thinking and you're trying to be creative and, you know, that's working. But then there's ways of doing it where it's like, I'm gonna be in your face about it and I'm gonna let you know you're gonna click my page and you're gonna follow, I don't care what it is. But I started with your network, reaching out. When you see there's festivals coming into town, business cards are not dead. You might like, I'm looking at this digital design here, I'm about to promote you real quick. But what are those codes where you could just like, you know, QC codes and you could just like take a picture of it, like you open up your camera, put it on somewhere for a little bit. Direct. What I'm learning also is that people are getting rid of like living on Instagram, living on Facebook, living on SoundCloud. What happens to like email lists? Like, could you imagine if you went out and got your followers to like, listen, give me your email address? Cause it's like, all right, we're gonna do with that, whatever. Like, all of that goes there is like bill reminders and stuff like that, or I'm looking for a job that comes in. Now, say you have everyone in this room's email address and you send your video, how many views that is? Cause it's gonna click automatically if you embedded in your, you know, email the right way. I'm not a digital marketer or anything, but I think it will work. I've done that for a few like brand things and it's like, all right, well, we don't have any funding now, but keep us posted for what's next. So and when Instagram shut down, everybody, oh damn, like, you know, companies were like, oh, we can't even promote this, we can't do this. You know, things were supposed to go out and they weren't able to do that. But if you got someone's email, you can catch them when, you know, things are down and you won't lose that end. You know, you put all that money into that campaign online and you pay Facebook to sponsor posts and X, Y, and Z. You have it right on your fingertips and all you need is an email address. So that's one way.
She answered that perfectly, actually. I guess I think everything I was gonna say, but I agree. It's essentially just being as visible as you can be, whether it's digitally, whether it's, you know, guerrilla marketing, which is just on the street shit, just mobbing, you know, that's definitely a thing that people overlook, just being out here, you know? So, to say, lack of a better word, yeah, she pretty much covered everything. That's good.
We have time for one more question.
Hi, so I'm Steph, I'm from Brooklyn. I'm a recent graduate and basically I just kind of like I try to like just mold myself into like an overall music executive. So I guess my question is to you, what are like some tips and tricks besides networking, like you do so? And also I guess kind of like help whoever I'm helping out stay relevant, you know, build promotion and you know, do that kind of thing. That makes sense? It does.
I would say don't rush the process. Don't, this lemonade, there's nothing in here. Don't rush it. Like when it's in a sense where don't feel like, oh, I'm not there yet. Like I need to keep going. Like yes, you're gonna do a lot of free work sometimes before you get that sign on that line. Here's this pay. You're also gonna do a lot of work that's not directly correlated with your interests and aspirations. That's fine. You know what? You're gonna combine all of that and it's gonna put you into your next position in a sense where you're able to like now, hey, I've had that experience to do that. I'm going to keep taking the things that I've learned along the way to this full executive title that, you know, you're longing for, but understand that that title does not make you. Those things that you've been through, those challenges, those no's, so I'm sorry, we can't hire you at this moment, is what makes you, what will make you, and what will make you the executive that you're yearning to be is because you have substance. You're not just, you know, that title was just this one line on a piece of paper. You have substance and, you know, you've come with things in a journey that you can speak to and you can apply it to however you're deciding, you know, for your leadership style. So I think for the biggest things to go out and explore Don't just stay within one lane. If you want to do A&R, maybe you should start in legal, or maybe you should start in, administration, or, whether that is collecting royalties. And some people are like, that's the most boring thing to say here. I'm sorry, nope, claim on here. No, but you learn the whole back end. And my take is like, I really wanted to be an A&R. I still do, so I might slay my resume. But what I'm saying is, I could take what I've learned in legal and industry in places that a lot of people really don't know about. And when it came to that, and working with the guys that I was managing, and I was doing that up until maybe February of this year, they're all my babies. Like, love, we all came up together, and like, that we can all get to the Ellen show, done a lot of big partnerships, closed a lot of deals, but none of them can say that they're in a deal right now, or they're in like anything that's like not serving of them, because I learned how to read the paperwork. Oh no, we could do this deal with you. However, you're not locking us in an exclusive period, to wear your shoes all the time. We're gonna take that out, but you can pay us. Next. So it's like, you, by doing that and doing some of the unfavorable things, the things that I didn't want to do, I was able to build other things outside of that. And now you take all those experiences, and when it's time, like, you'll be able to make it work, and you'll be on top of it. Everyone's gonna want to work with you. Everyone's gonna be your intern. Everyone's gonna reach out and try to hire you. So that's just that. Let's keep talking about how Chanel Big draft smashed by Chrissy. Drinks over there. Come go this her. We have two menus on this side, so come check them out, please. We are going to get started with the producer listening session in the other room. I want to bring Jocelyn. Bring Jocelyn. Come here. She is like, okay, I'm gonna give her a standing ovation.
Well, I want to say more. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm not going. But no, thank you guys for really coming, because I'm scared, because it's a groundhog. I was scared everyone was gonna come. I was nervous. But I'm still a good man. How do I feel it? Like, I like you. Want to see another one? And no, what I really want to talk about is like the vendors here. So we got a vendor over here, the dress shirts, I need one of those. We got the edible, no smoking allowed. And back here, I really want to talk about this one, because Mia, where's Mia? Where's Mia? So Mia does a lot of design. I won't say all, the credit, but she does a lot of designs for me, like flyers, logos. She helped me build my website. So it's like, you guys need to talk to her, like for the EPKs, everything that y'all asked me for, she does that. So and she's so good at it, like, so turn around, get information, down. So after we're done here, I want you guys to really go down there, because it's like a whole other part, and it's really pretty. We're gonna have the producers just kind of run through their beats. So basically, they're gonna have different time slots. So think of it like a showcase for producers, different. So basically, they're gonna have 10 minutes. They're gonna play their beats, and if you like anything, post it on Instagram, take their website, get in tune with them. Because I feel like producers don't get shine. Like, that's the purpose, really. I feel like producers don't get a lot of shine. I always have showcases. All that, but they're not. That's the point. I would love to do this again. Hopefully, I can come back. But yeah, that's what I want to say. I don't know. I wasn't prepared. I was outside. I don't know.
Yes, so like she said, 9, well, from now up until 11, producers are gonna be playing their beats, their mixes, such and such. Start moving down there. Table up. We're gonna switch. And then you can come here if you wanna introduce yourself, please, and like network, get to me, this is the room for that. But that's just listening, so don't talk, just listen. Thank you so much.